Hello everyone. So uh, I'm Yang from the Center of Balance, the acupuncturist and the herbalist. So today I'm very happy to share more knowledge about the Chinese medicine. So today we're gonna share the knowledge of about a new organ, the spleen. The previous courses we talked about uh, the lung and the heart in Chinese medicine. So, but today we talk about the spleen, which is the digestion system. Okay, so first I would like to talk about the location and the physical description of the spleen. The spleen is located in the upper abdominal cavity beneath the diaphragm and adjacent to the stomach. The spleen has a close anatomical and functional relationship with the stomach. Traditional physicians described spleen as having a dark reddish color and a flattened, curved shape. So these descriptions reflect long-term clinical observation rather than modern anatomical description. So it's quite different in Chinese medicine and Western medicine of the function of the spleen. In Western medicine, the spleen is more like immune system organ, and you must have heard about some blood disease patient because their spleen function is too aggressive. It kills a lot of red blood cells of the patient. So the doctors has to remove the spleen for those patients, and after remove after removing the spleen of the patient spleen, those patients their blood disease are controlled. So in Chinese medicine, the spleen is quite different. So in Chinese medicine, the spleen not only related to the blood circulation, to the blood, but also it has another function, which is the most important function, which is the digestion. So the spleen in Chinese medicine is more like the function of your digestion system, includes the function of the gallbladder, pancreas, small intestine, and stomach. So the spleen in Chinese medicine is more functional rather than anatomy. Okay, so in the theory of the five elements, the five element theory is a basal theory of the Chinese medicine. The spleen belongs to the soil, which is the earth, and it represents the deepest yin aspect. So what does that mean? So in five elements, every organ has its own. Every organ belongs to one element, such as the lung belongs to metal, the heart belongs to fire, the spleen belongs to soil, and the kidney belongs to water, and the liver belongs to the wood. So by using the five element theory, the ancient Chinese people, they describe the nature of the spleen. They believe the nature of spleen is similar to the nature of soil. Why they say that? Why the Asian people say the spleen belongs to soil? What's that mean? So imagine, so um, you know, in the whole world, we human being lives on soil, right? For 1,000 years, we need soil. Why? Because we need soil to um, uh, to do the agriculture, right? We need soil to plant the food. So why the spleen belongs to soil? Because the spleen is like the soil of your whole body. The spleen controls the digestion system. So every day you eat the food and come to your body, and your spleen, your digestion system make it to nutrition and support your life activities. So without the digestion system, people die, right? Because if someone cannot eat, if someone their digestive system is broken or damaged, they couldn't get enough nutrition from the food. So without nutrition, your organs, your body, um, cannot be supplied, cannot be supported. So people die. The living activity um, will be stopped. So in Chinese medicine, like I said, the spleen represents an integrated functional system rather than a single organ. So the spleen governs the mental as well, which refers to thinking, intention, on a cognitive focus. Emotionally, the spleen is associated with the excessive thinking and rumination. Physically, the spleen governs the limbs and the muscles. The external manifestation appears in the lips. The sensory opening is the mouth. Among body fluids, the spleen is associated with saliva. The spleen also resonates with the climatic characteristics of the stomach. The spleen and the stomach form an interior-exterior relationship through the meridian system. So sometimes, if we want to diagnose them, if we Chinese medicine practitioner want to diagnose a man, if a man's spleen digestion system is healthy, we can look the outside of the body, like their muscles, like their lips, uh, because uh, the human body muscles are supported by the spleen. If the spleen is weak, you will not have strong muscles. And with the support of the spleen, your lips can be red, can be uh, vivid. It's not pale. Yeah, yeah, because the spleen related to your lips. So if you're a woman, you want to be beauty, you better make your spleen stronger, powerful. So the spleen and the stomach are like they work together. also, of course, the spleen is the boss of the stomach. The stomach is the employee of the stomach is the employee of the spleen. Okay, yeah. This picture said spleen is the root of the personal life. After birth, all energy, blood, and body fluids depend on food and drink. Like I said before, it is the last foundation. So, you know, all the energy, blood, fluid of your body, these substances are derived from the transformation of the food and drink. So the spleen and the stomach are responsible for transforming food into usable nutriment. For this reason, the spleen and stomach are regarded as the function of personal life. They are also considered the source of the energy and blood production. So the function state of spleen directly influences oral vitality and endurance. So yeah, before birth, the baby, the embryo, are supported by the mom, by the mother. So after birth, your body needs to generate this nutrition by itself. So people have to eat food, right? Yeah, it's common sense. So one of the core psychological characteristics of the spleen is that the spleen energy prefers upward movement. Under normal conditions, spleen energy moves upward rather than downward. Upward movement reflects healthy spleen function. So the spleen energy prefers upward. What does that mean? Okay, here it is. The spleen governs the essence of clear substances. The clear substances refer to refined nutrients derived from the food. After digestion and absorption, the spleen transports these substances upward. They are delivered to the heart, to lung, to the head region. Through further transformation, energy and blood are generated. These substances nourish and moisten the entire body. So what does that mean? So the generation of the energy or blood needs to depends on 2 and 3 organs, not just one. So what does that mean? Which means, for example, how your body generates blood in Chinese medicine, not Western medicine. Okay. In Western medicine, we all know your bone marrow is a factory of generating blood cells, all blood cells, blood platelets, white blood cell, red blood cell are generated in your bone. Right. But in Chinese medicine, things changed. Things changed. In Chinese medicine, we believe both organs are working together to generate the blood. Which do? Yes, good question. spleen and the heart. So the first step is the spleen and stomach um, can absorb nutrition from the food you eat, and then the spleen transport those nutrition, which is the clear essence, substances to the heart. With the help of the heart, the blood can be generated. So the heart can use the material supported by spleen and turn it to blood. That's how the blood are generated in Chinese medicine. So second thing, the energy. Remember the previous course we talked about the um, how the energy is generated in our body. So same thing, the spleen absorbs the nutrition from the food. So some nutrition can be the material of the blood, and some nutrition can be the material of energy. So the spleen can transport the energy to the lung together with the clean energy, by breath into the body together with the energy, zone energy. Remember the zone energy. That's how zone energy generated. Okay. So if the spleen energy is weak or obstructed by dampness, this ascending function will be damaged. As a result, nutrient distribution becomes disordered. Energy and blood production is reduced or inefficient. Organs, tissues, and sensory functions lack proper nourishment. This leads to various chaos and functional disturbances. So what that means, the spleen energy is weak or obstructed by dampness. So in Chinese medicine, we believe the spleen and we believe if the spleen energy is weak, the normal function of spleen can be affected. So for example, if you like eat the cold drinks like ice cream, like cold water, it can injure the energy of the spleen. Because the spleen and stomach, they prefer warm things, not cold things. The cold can damage the yang energy, because cold is cold. Cold can depress the yang energy. It depresses the yang energy. It can weaken the spleen energy. So why some people after they eat ice cream or milk, they got diarrhea. That's because these patients spleen function are damaged by the cold drink. So why I say even some people take milk and they diarrhea. In Chinese medicine, we believe that the milk is kind of cold things, cold food. So those cold things can damage the energy of spleen, and it will cause disease like diarrhea. And some people, when their spleen is weak, they have another symptom, which is constipation. Why? That's because the movements of your intestine relies on the energy of the spleen. That if the spleen is stronger, is powerful, it can push the, it can force the intestine to move, uh, to move. When the intestine move, the stools can go forward. Yeah, and to toilet, right? So the constipation patients, their intestine function is damaged. Why? Because some of them, not all of them, right? Some people are because they're too dry, right? The stool is too dry. But some people, their constipation is because the spleen function is too weak. No energy to push the stool go forward. So, and some people, mm, the spleen is weak. Their symptom is IBS, right? So diarrhea and constipation. So that's all because the spleen function is abnormal. So what's the meaning of obstructed by the dampness? So we can talk about later, okay? So the coordination with the stomach. The scent of the clear substance represents the spleen's transformation and transportation function. These functions work together with the stomach's downward movement. The two movements are opposite in direction, but complementary in function. When ascent and descent are coordinated, digestion and absorption proceed smoothly. So like I said before, the stomach is like a one important employee to the spleen, right? So they need to work together, right? Uh, you cannot run a company by just by a boss, right? You must need the employees, right? They need to work together to complete the job, right? So the stomach movement is downward, the spleen is upward, downward. It can make the digestion absorption proceed smoothly. So if the spleen energy fails to ascend, turbid substances cannot descend properly. So the upper body lacks nourishment, leading to dizziness and mental fatigue. And the turbidity accumulates in the middle, causing abdominal fullness. So clear absence sink downward, resulting in loose stools and diarrhea. So this is a little bit hard to understand. So in short, if the spleen energy is abnormal, it can cause dizziness because and mental fatigue because the spleen is weak, cannot support enough nutrition to the upper body and especially your head, and you will feel dizziness. And if the and second, if the stomach, if the spleen is weak, your digestion is bad. So the food, the things can obstructed in the middle in your stomach. So you will feel uncomfortable, right? Um, so it will cause abdominal fullness, right? So the third, if the spleen function is abnormal, it causes loose and diarrhea. Yeah. So another important role of the spleen energy essence is maintaining the organ's position. So strong spleen energy keeps the internal organs in their proper position. So this can prevent organs from sinking downward. So when the spleen energy is deficient, organs may descend. So this may cause like gastric prolapse, uterine prolapse, or rectal prolapse. You must heard about it. So treatment focus on strengthening spleen energy and restoring its lifting ability. So we all know the disease like the gastric prolapse, uterine prolapse, and rectal prolapse. We all know it, and it's very annoying, and it causes a lot of uncomfortable feelings, and some people even do surgery to treat it. So in West medicine, West medicine believe sometimes the prolapse of the organs is because the ligament support, the ligaments is not ligament strength is weak, cannot lift these organs. But in Chinese medicine, we think this disease in a simple way. We believe it's because the spleen energy is weak. Remember we talked before, the spleen energy is absent to upper body. It also can lift your organs. So how we treat the prolapse of the organs in Chinese medicine? We support the spleen. So you can, if your relatives or your family member has the problem of the prolapse of the organs, you pay attention to their other symptoms. Sometimes they will combine. These patients combine. They will have the symptoms like diarrhea, right? And their digestion system is not very good. You can pay attention to their symptoms to see if I'm right or wrong. Okay, so if the spleen back to normal, right? Back to normal, it will have enough energy to support all the organs. So uh, it can treat the prolapse of the organs by supporting the chi, the energy. Another key psychological feature of the spleen is its preference with dryness and aversion to dampness. The feature is closely related to the spleen role in fluid metabolism. So when the spleen function is strong, fluids are properly transformed and distributed. Body fluids circulate smoothly without accumulation. So when the spleen energy is weak, fluid transformation becomes impaired. This leads to internal generation of dampness and phlegm. Once dampness forms, it further obstructs spleen energy. So this creates vicious cycle of spleen weakness and damp accumulation. So what that mean? So we believe the spleen prefer dryness, more dampness. Unlike the lung prefer uh, dampness than dryness, because the dryness can injure the lung. So the dampness will injure the spleen. It's hard to understand. Chinese medicine believe if too much dampness in the middle, which is the spleen and stomach area, too much dampness in the middle, it can obstruct the spleen movement. The dampness can weaken the spleen function. And where do these dampness come from? Actually, sometimes it's from the food we eat, like fried food, spicy food. These things can generate dampness in your body. And the dampness in your body, uh, it can be phlegm, it can be phlegm in your body. And these phlegm are not just in your lung, but also in the whole body. These bad things, you also can know it as toxin. These bad toxins, these bad things in the middle can block the spleen. And when the spleen is weak, it cannot push these toxins, this dampness, out of the body. So it causes a very bad circle. So the spleen is weak and more dampness accumulates. So that's why in Chinese medicine, we help support the spleen and clear the dampness, So external damp environments can also damage spleen function. This further aggravates internal dampness. Both internal and external dampness interferes with spleen energy movement. This explains why spleen is said to dislike dampness. So also, if you live in a dampness environment, like South Asian, right? South Asian, very hot, and near the sea, a lot of water. Yeah, and it also can damage your spleen. So what does that mean? Why the external environment can damage the body? That's because we Chinese people believe, we Chinese medicine believe, the human's disease is not only related to your own body, but also to the nature, to the environment you live. So in the cold area, people are usually called as arthritis, because the cold can invade the body, can invade the joints. It causes arthritis. So in the dampness and hot area, like South Asian, like those countries near the orbit, it will people there are easily caught, can easily get the spleen and stomach disease. I'm not saying all the people live there can cause the spleen disease. I'm just saying, rather than the people living in a cold place, the people living in a dampness place, they are easily caught. They are easily get the spleen and stomach disease. Just compare. Yeah. So when the dryness is maintained, spleen energy ascends smoothly. So proper ascent ensures effective fluid transformation. So this prevents internal dampness and improves resistance to external dampness. Yeah. So in clinical practice, spleen deficiency and dampness are often treated together, like I said before. Strengthen the spleen while resorting dampness is essential. Treating dampness alone without supporting spleen is insufficient. So like I said, if you want to make the spleen stronger, you must give the spleen a good environment. You must clear the dampness around it, and it can make the spleen back to normal. So um, that's why the digestion system disease are difficult to treat, because you not only need to support the digestion system, but also you must make the environment or digestion system better. Okay, so this course we talk about some functions of spleen, and the location, the function, the spleen energy, and the spleen preference. So the next lesson, we're gonna continue. We're gonna continue to talk about the knowledge of a spleen. So subscribe me, and see you next time. Bye.